Okay, well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Welcome to Queen City Toastmasters. Tonight, we have a very special meeting with very special guests. And I would like to recognize the presence of guests, both online and also in person. So I would like to start with the ones that are online. I see Matthew.
Yes.
Is with us. So please unmute yourself. Let us know your name. How did you hear about our club? And what are you looking at to improve when visiting a Toastmasters club?
Well, that's a great question. So I've actually visited here before, and I apologize, I don't know the correct etiquette, what with the madam and sir, but so I'm basically here for exposure therapy. Public speaking is a fear of mine, and I need to get better. I work in business, and it's a large part of that. So
thank you for coming. You're definitely in the right place. We are here all because of the same thing. And I would like to, for the benefit of those who are online, I would like to walk through the stage here and pass the mic to one of our guests who are in person. He is one of our former members of our clubs, an honorable member of our club. If you watch our website, in 2016, there was one speaker who won the contest. In 2016, Lovemore Masakaka. He is that person, and I would like to introduce you to him tonight. And please introduce yourself to the rest of the audience.
Mr. President, Toastmasters, I wish I could say fellow Toastmasters, but of late I have not been a Toastmaster. I'm just trying to find my way back. My name is Lovemore Masakadza. I was a member for Queen City Toastmasters for a few years, I'll say maybe 4 years or so, before I lost everything. I'm still learning how to speak in public now. You never stop learning, but if you stop getting the opportunity to speak in public, you end up losing it. So I'm working on getting it back. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are honored to have you here. And I would like to continue with another guest. Please introduce yourself. Let us know your name and what brings you to our podcast.
Sure. Hi, I'm Ashley. This is my second time here. I also am starting a business, and I want to learn how to comfortably speak in front of people. So I'm very uncomfortable doing that. And I think the more you practice, the more comfortable you get with it's like anything. So I'm here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. And as you have heard, well, before I continue, I see that we have another guest here. You are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick. I'm trying to be a better speaker. So I'm here again, and I'm going to break through this eventually. So my goal is to become a proficient speaker and feel confident about speaking to people on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
So one of the important things of being here is that we get the opportunity. Every time we come to the club, we get the opportunity to speak. And that it's in itself what helps us to get better at public speaking. We need to get our reps in. We need to keep talking. We need to keep speaking. We need to step up and try it. Even if we are fearful of doing it, just do it anyway. Try your best and you will get better at it. We're still doing it. I've been in Toastmaster for 7 years now, and I'm still trying and I'm still doing it. Now, I would like to introduce someone who is going to lead us through the rest of this meeting. He is our VP of membership. He is one of the most engaged Toastmasters in our club. You who are members and those who are guests are going to know him because he is going to approach you as VP of membership. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Sean Soha.
Thank you, Elvis. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honorable guests. It's great to be here. It's been a few weeks that I've been off, so it's good to be back in the game. Now, the holidays are approaching, and there's one thing that I have on my mind, many people have on their mind, and that is food. You know it, the smell of that fresh pumpkin pie that's coming out of the oven, those sweet tastes of chocolate from the cookies and the brownies and everything else that your family members, your friends come over and drop off, and you can't stop picking at day after day after day. My family is no different other than one different variation. See, my heritage and my parents, they're from India. And so during Thanksgiving, our food is a little bit different. It's a little bit mixed, right? So I know that India is a land of spices. You have a lot of masalas, a lot of turmeric, ginger, a lot of rice, basmati rice, the lentils. And one of my favorite dishes, butter chicken. I know a lot of people like butter chicken out there. So during Thanksgiving, it wasn't just turkey, it was butter turkey. We still had the mashed potatoes. We had the mashed potatoes and the gravy, but it was more like cauliflower, mashed potatoes and gravy. The stuffing was a bit different. We didn't have stuffing. We had rice. We had basmati rice instead. And we had lentil soups on the side. And at the very end, we had a nice piece of naan that everyone shared. But before our dessert, we still had the pumpkin pies. We still had all the other types of American dishes and sweets and Indian sweets as well. So during tonight, I would like for you to channel your inner foodie. And when you come up here, I'll be asking you what your favorite food or dish is. Doesn't have to be during Thanksgiving. It can be any time throughout the year. So that's how we'll conduct. Just channel your inner foodie as you go about it throughout the day. At this time, I would like to introduce our joke master or inspirational thought master for the evening, and that is Allie Brooke. Allie, I will turn it over to you. It's all yours.
Thank you, Sean, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. As I'm going to share a poem that I wrote with you all today. As last week, I was having a panic attack and decided to talk to the fear that was happening and noticed I didn't have any breath. And I wrote this poem. And as I was thinking about what can I share with you guys today that's insightful is fear is an illusion and to remember to breathe. So I'm going to share this poem with you all today. Fear is an illusion. It feels so real in my body and my mind, the racing thought, the panic chest I find. Getting swept away in the fear, the breath is void in the rear. The monkey mind takes over with repeating thoughts, keeping me stuck in a loop of worry, fret, totally caught. The mind trying to make sense of something to feel safe, to control the outcome, to beat the race. But what if this fear is not real, an illusion, you see? What if changing the thought could pivot the calm internally? What if focusing on a breath could ease that fret, or the blink of an eye calms the set? You see, the fears that keep us stuck are illusions after all. And as we board the merry-go-round, spinning and afraid to fall. Catch yourself next time the fear rises. It's an illusion with many disguises. Get back to your breath and blink your eye. Know you are safe and tell that fear goodbye. You are stronger than illusions of the fear. You are love and light, my dear. Thank you.
Beautiful. Very good, Allie. Thank you so much. I think my favorite line of that, I think, is the illusion of fear. And I think that is something that I've felt once in a while and I've had to think about how to calm myself down. So excellent. Thank you very much. At this point in time, we now like to call on our grammarian. Our grammarian for this evening will tell us about the word of the day, and he'll be in charge of catching our ums and ahs. But I'll let him explain a little bit more of his role. Please help me welcome Leon to the stage.
Hi, how's everybody doing today? Good, glad to hear. So today I will be your grammarian, and part of my duties for the meeting is to keep track of any filler words you may use, such as or ums or us, and also the misuse of any other words such as and, so, but, or any recurring phrases that you might use that may not be grammatically correct. Also, part of my duty is at the end, I will keep track and give a detailed report on how many filler words you use so that you can also kind of see how you improve as you continue to practice public speaking on eliminating any such filler words. So if you feel that you're going to say a filler word, take a breath, gather your thoughts, and continue your speech. And also part of my duties is to pick a word of the day. And so since the theme of the day is food, I chose this word ambrosial. It's an adjective. And the definition is the food of Greeks and Roman gods, something extremely pleasing to taste or smell. So a way that you could use that in a sentence is, my neighbor's sweet potato pie is an ambrosial cuisine. So with that being said, I look forward to hearing all you guys speak and trying to catch those filler words, and good luck.
All right. Thank you, Leon. Reminder, the word of the day is ambrosia. And so next I'd like to introduce our timer for this evening, which is Melissa. Melissa, can you come up here and explain your role? Thank you very much. Please help me welcome Melissa.
Is somebody talking? Because we can't hear them.
How about now? Yes. Okay. I'm seeing head shaking. Thank you, Melissa, very much for that. Also like to know that I think, Melissa, you just joined. So it's great to see Melissa and new members joining and taking on roles. So thank you. And what next is that in order to count the ballots, we have a ballot counter that does that. I would like to introduce David. David will be our ballot counter for this evening. Help me welcome David.
We don't do a ballot counter all the time, but whenever we can, we're gonna give it a shot. And tonight we're only going to be voting for table topics because we have one speaker and one evaluator. I think we all know who's going to win each of those. But at the bottom, if you could just go ahead and tear off this so it's not making noise during the meeting. And after the table topics, I'll come around and pick them up. Those of you that are on Zoom, you can send it to ClubView, private message ClubView, who you want to vote for. And also, if you happen to do table topics on Zoom, could you do a green light timer, Madam Timer? Could you do a green light? Those of you on Zoom, if you look at ClubView at the very bottom, you can see the lights there, which will kind of give you a guide to how long you've been speaking. So just keep an eye on that. And that's really it. So just write after the table topics, write your favorite table topic speaker. I'll come around, collect them, and at the end, we'll give out the very special ribbon. With that, back to Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, David. Now I make it a habit of checking to make sure this is on or not, because it's not the first time that's happened to me. Now we're going to get to our main event, which is the speakers. We have one speaker for this evening, as we had mentioned, and that would be our president of the evening, Elvis. And I believe his speech title will be Breaking the Mold. So please help me welcome Elvis to the stage. Give him a big hand of applause. Eight to 10. Just 8 to 10 minutes. Okay. I'd like to ask you 3 questions. You don't have to answer now. Just keep it for yourself as I keep going with my speech. When was the last time that you received or gave feedback? How did you feel about it? And what are you doing about it? Mr. Toastmaster, my fellow Toastmasters, and honorable guests, good evening. Giving feedback and receiving feedback is inarguably one of the most important factors when it comes to speaking about growth, personally, professionally, or institutionally. When we receive feedback, we have the opportunity to learn about the things that we're doing well and the challenges that we have to improve upon. When we give feedback, we give the others the opportunity also to learn, improve, and thrive. One of those methods of giving feedback is the so-called 360 evaluation. How many of you are familiar with a 360 evaluation? For those of you who aren't familiar with a 360 evaluation, it is an evaluation that is performed within a group, usually coworkers, peers, evaluating one person within that group of action. It could be in a company setting, could be your colleagues or your managers or upper management evaluating an individual in a setting such as, for example, our club. It would be the president and the club officers evaluating an individual. I had the pleasure to have received a 360 evaluation from members of this club. And the learning and my experience of that evaluation is what I'm going to share with you tonight.
Some of the things that resonated with me from that evaluation are the 3 main items that I'm going to be focusing on today. That are the factors that define me as a person or as a leader. 3 important aspects, such as reliability. I was told that I am a person who is reliable. And thinking back about reliability, and I think about 2 days ago when I asked my father to help me out with getting a new birth certificate for some documents that I needed for my wife, some legal documents that we're working with. The next day he called me. I was in a meeting at 8:30 a.m. He called me just to tell me that he went to the place, he got the document with him. He is one of the persons that says, if you ever want to have anything done, give it to me and I'll get it done. I grew up with that kind of environment, someone who is always giving those type of affirmations. And now I relate to that because when I say I'm going to do it, you can be sure that I will do it. It takes me sometimes time to commit, but when I do it, I get to it and I do it. So when I say and I ask my father for something, I trust that it's going to be done. And that's what I expect from anybody when I give my word that I'm going to do something. So it's part of who I am. Now, the second one is supportive or coaching. And it reminded me of those times when I was in high school and I was one of those little kids, those little nerds that were very popular, not because I was very social, but because I was the one that had all the good grades and people wanted to be around me because when they needed help, I was there to help them. And I enjoyed helping others to the point that today, when I feel like I know something, I enjoy helping. And that was one of the feedback that I received also, that I have been engaged with members of this club when people needed something. And it's something that I have been told time and time in organizations that I've worked with, my willingness to help. So that's part of my leadership style that I relayed also with that evaluation. The third item was communication. And as you know, as a leader, one of the most important aspects of leadership is communication. We have to be open to listen. We have to be able to understand. But in my case, that is not my strongest feat. And I have been told, and it's a feedback that I cherish, I appreciate, because it has been something repetitive. So it means that I have to continue working on is I have to be more expressive. I have to be more engaging. I have to be more energetic. And I have to be present. Usually I'm away. And that's something that happened also in my job. I spent years without meeting my coworkers, my teammates that used to live in another city. And I had all the budget and all the means to actually take a plane or take a car or go to the places as other members of our teams were doing. But I didn't take the opportunity, didn't take the initiative to do that. This is something that it's repetitive with me. It's also something that defines me as a leader. And as we know, again, communicating, being able to be there, to be open, and to be receptive, it's also very important. What I want to bring with those three aspects is that as leaders, we are called upon to be adaptive. We have to be able to lead in any situation. And that means that we have to adapt to the circumstances, to the people, to the different situations. When it calls for us to be supportive, then we are supportive. We are supportive leaders. When it calls for us to be a coach, then we are coaching leaders. When it calls for us to be a delegating entity, then we delegate, and so on and so forth. Which means that also, when we look at improving our leadership style, we have to be open to always give and receive feedback. And that's what I call breaking the mold. I have to break all those ingrained habits, behaviors that come with me since I was a kid, and that are part of who I am, that are part of my leadership style. In order for me to thrive, to improve, to get better, I have to break those habits. But in order to do that, I have to be open, to listen, to observe, to understand. So I want to finish by asking you 3 questions. When was the last time that you received feedback or gave feedback? How did you feel about it? And what are you going to do about it? Thank you. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Actually, well, Elvis, one more question. And it's a question that I forgot to ask before. And that is, as he's walking away, he's in the zone. That's okay. We'll ask it for Elvis. What is your favorite food? What is your favorite dish? Do you have that in mind?
My favorite food. I have. It doesn't look like, but I can eat anything and everything. So my favorite food is anything that has meat in it. I like healthy foods, but I'm a meat lover as well.
All right, that's good enough. That's good. Thank you very much, Elvis. And I apologize for those other members who are up here and I didn't get to ask those questions. So I apologize. I'll figure out how I can get that back and we can go up. Actually, this is actually perfect time. We need a timers report. So after every speech, we get a timers report. And tonight, Melissa, can you give us a timing report for our speaker? And also, can you tell us about your favorite dish?
All right, thank you. So I'll start with my favorite dish. I will say I'm Italian and I would love anything that is Italian. So your pastas, your breads, anything of that nature is what I could eat any day. As far as our timer report, excellent speech, Elvis. It was really, really interesting, and timing wise, you were just over, but it was 10 minutes and 16 seconds. It's a wonderful job.
Thank you, Melissa. And also don't forget to, well, we only have one speaker, so the ballots for tonight, you can ignore that. And at this point in time, I'd like to, this is the fun part. So we have our speeches, the main event, and now we're gonna go into table topics. And for this evening, we have our newest member, Heather, who will be taking us through the table topics. So help me welcome Heather. Oh, and also, Heather, please tell us about your favorite dish as well.
Yes. Thank you, Sean. Good evening, Toastmasters and fellow the guests, and welcome. I would say my favorite dish is my mom's spaghetti. I rarely have pasta, and so it's always a treat. It's nothing overly fancy, but I just grew up with that. And, you know, she probably uses ragu and just adds some spices to it, but it always tastes so good. And it's just always a welcome home. So I wanted to share a bit about table topics, especially for the new guests to understand what this is. It's table topics enables a member to develop the skills of impromptu speaking. Table topics help train members to quickly organize and express their thoughts. You can think of the table topics speech as a mini speech with an opening, a body, and a conclusion. This also provides a speaking opportunity for any member who is not on duty in the meeting agenda, or guests may also participate if they wish. Each speaker is required to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, and participants are disqualified at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day in your speech. As a reminder, today's word is ambrosial. And given we have a ballot counter this evening, we will vote at the end of table topic speeches for those that qualify. So I've centered tonight's questions around food since I'm part of our foodie theme. And I have up to 8 questions prepared. So certainly we can invite any participants. So I do have a volunteer for the first question. Oh, Rick, is it? Okay. Oh, I guess I gave up too soon. I'm sorry. What was your favorite childhood food and what memory does that invoke?
Favorite childhood food? Oh, gosh, that's a tough one. I know what I didn't like, but I would probably say pizza, because my mother used to make pizza and it was delicious. I come from Pennsylvania and my family was big hunters. So we had venison pizza. I know that's probably not a good thing these days, but it was really good. And we used to, yeah, that was delicious. So that's probably one of my favorite foods as a child, but I like ice cream as well. I still like ice cream to this day. I don't think anybody dislikes ice cream, so that's a good thing. I don't like butter beans. I hate butter beans, to be honest with you, because that was forced upon me when I was a kid. So I will never eat butter beans ever. I don't like Japanese food because my wife is Japanese and I just cannot stand the smell of Japanese food, unfortunately. I do like sushi though. I like California rolls. So that's another good thing for me. And any food that I don't make, I love because I'm a terrible cook. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Okay. Do I have another volunteer, either online or, okay. Sorry, what is your name? Cameron? Okay. Okay. With the holidays approaching, what is your favorite holiday from purely a food perspective and why?
Thank you, Heather. This one might be easy for me because I had a similar question. Last time I did table topics, the holiday coming up is Thanksgiving. Oh, well, first of all, I'll just say for those of y'all who didn't hear the last one, it was Thanksgiving because I like to eat and because I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan and I get to see them play and hopefully win every Thanksgiving. But since I can't have that one, I'll pick Christmas because my grandmother used to make this oyster stew when I was growing up, and most of you might not like that. And my wife had it one time and she found out she was dairy intolerant when we went to the church service that night. And we would sit up in the balcony and we lit all these candles for the candlelit service. And the temperature of the church went up by about 8 to 10 degrees. So that made her dairy intolerance even worse. And so anyway, she had to step outside to be with Jesus. because she was about to throw up everywhere. But for me personally, I love oysters, and my grandmother made oyster stew as I was growing up. So anything to do with oysters, and since it's oyster season, which by the way, I don't know if you ever heard, if you like oysters, you got to be careful the time of year you eat them. I always grew up being told that as long as the month had an R in it, you were safe to eat oysters. But you can dial that in even further. Raw oysters. I see your wheels turning over here. Raw oysters or steamed oysters. If the month ends in R, you're even better. So September, October, obviously we're in November, December. These are your prime months for oyster eating. So I recommend a good oyster shooter. Definitely helps take the edge off. You can have one before you come here, and you'll be able to get up here and say just about anything without any fear. So there you go.
Well, thank you, Cameron. Okay. John? Hi, John. How are you? Okay. The third question is, all right, if no calories, fat grams, or carbs counted, and you could eat as much as you wanted of a particular food without any health consequences, what would that food be and why?
Thank you for that question, Heather. Before you start the timer, Melissa, before you start, let me just say one thing. Queen City, you are in the presence of a legend. Love More. So happy to see you. I don't know if you remember me. I have a little less hair, but I'm really happy you're there. And I just have to say that you mentioned being a little rusty. And I've always mentioned that Toastmasters is kind of like going to the gym. So you have to kind of get your reps. But I have no doubt if you keep coming back, you'll get back to legendary status. So I hope to see you again when I'm able to be there in person. Now, in terms of your question, Heather, I am Italian, much like Melissa is, and that just means pasta. And I know we're in this whole world of no carb phase, but one of my favorite dishes growing up is pasta carbonara. And pasta carbonara, if cooked correctly, and I don't mean the stuff with the cream and peas, that's American style. This is more true Roman style. And the Roman style involves a little bit of garlic. You put the garlic in oil and you let it simmer. You toss in the pasta and kind of grill it in the pan. And as you're sauteing it, I like to include a little bit of pancetta as well. And then if you really want to spice it up, you include a little truffle over the top. You talk about ambrosial, that smell is so intoxicating. It's absolutely delectable. If I could eat that every single day, I would. So if there had to be one dish that I could eat guilt-free, it would be pasta carbonara, traditional Roman style.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I have a fourth question. Love More? Okay. If you could travel for food purposes only, where would you go and what food or foods would take you there?
Thank you very much, Table Topics Master. Good evening, Toastmasters. If I would travel to get some food, where would I travel to and what food would that be? Wow. I remember growing up in Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, traveling just to the neighboring country of South Africa. They had a lot of wild animals. So we would go out there and the hunters would be there. And they'll kill kudus. Do you know an animal called a kudu? Homework for you. To be different is not to be wrong and not to be weird. Go check out kudu Kudu. We'll kill a kudu and we'll sit down, make our fire, and put the kudu on fire. And after it is well cooked, put some salt and eat it. Toastmasters, go down Southern Africa and try some kudu. Thank you.
Thank you, Lovemore. Thank you. Okay. I'll have to look that up. So I have another question. Anyone, any other volunteers? We have 4 more if we want to continue with the time, or do we have time? I don't know where we are in time. 1 more? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, is Leon? Okay. All right, Leon. Okay. When you dine out, what are the qualities you look for in the experience in order for it to be overly impressed?
Yeah, thanks for the question. For me to be overly impressed with an establishment, I think for me, it has to be the hospitality. Generally speaking, a food can be as ambrosial as it can be, but if the service is horrible, it usually puts a bad taste in your mouth on the food, because then you're thinking about, well, how was the food made? Was it made with love? Because see, to me, food is a very spiritual thing. So when you're eating, you should be at peace. When you're enjoying your meal, whether if it's alone or with a family member or friends. So undoubtedly for me, it would definitely have to be the service, because in my time of being a server and waiting tables, I generally noticed whenever I was on some of my best days where I felt very chatty and talkative and just feeling like the best server I could be, generally anything that I would recommend for a party to drink, eat, they 100% of the time would try it. They would trust my judgment. So I think it's also important for you to feel a level of trust with your server. And I think that can take a meal a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. And may I request a timers report to share which participants qualify for voting tonight?
Thank you. That was all really wonderful. And I hope if you haven't had dinner yet, I'm sure you're starving. So thank you everyone for those. So first of all, we have Rick, who came in at 1 minute, 18 seconds, Cameron at 1 minute, 48 seconds, John at 1 minute and 9 seconds, Lovemore at 1 minute and 31 seconds, and Leon at 1 minute and 15 seconds. So everyone qualifies. Great job.
Thank you, Melissa. And now if everyone would take time to vote, and that way at the end of, we can have the ballot counter, collect those. And I think I will turn it now over to the Toastmaster of the evening. Thank you, Sean.
All right, thank you, Heather. Please give Heather a round of applause. That was a great job. New member. We had about, I think, 6 table topics we got through. That's very good. So typical nights, we usually get 3 or 4, depending on how many speakers we have, but it was a good round. Yes, echoing what Melissa's saying, who's hungry, right? I'm starving. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to eat next. The oysters. I love it. I didn't get the R's. That's new. That's something new, Cameron. Am I Italian? Oh, John.
Was there a question?
More of a comment, but so what Cameron is asking is that when Italians go like this, after they have a dish or a meal, what does that mean? That kiss.
This is like delicioso. It's like pleasing to the palate.
Okay. Ambrosial. And there, I said it, right? Ambrosial. Mark that down, Leon. And at this point in time, so now we have speakers, we did our table topics, now we're gonna have the evaluators come in and evaluate our speakers. We have someone, a general evaluator, who comes in and kind of goes through this portion. That will be Jamie for this evening. So please help me welcome Jamie to the podium.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sean. So my family now has a Thanksgiving meal and a dish specifically, and the most ambrosial of those dishes is actually called ambrosia. So I don't know if anyone is from the South and has had ambrosia before for their Thanksgiving meal, but it's basically marshmallow salad, which has like pineapple and cherries. And so it's not really a salad at all. It's a dessert, and it's got cranberries, and it's my wife's favorite thing. She calls it pink stuff, but I think ambrosia is a far more elegant name for our Thanksgiving meal. So I'm going to be facilitating the evaluation portion of tonight's meeting. So as Toastmaster Sean said, we'll have an individual evaluator for our prepared speaker today. Toastmaster Elvis and Vanessa will provide that feedback on Zoom. Then I'll come back and provide an overall evaluation, and then I'll wrap it up with a grammarian's report from Toastmaster Leon. So let's start, though, with the cornerstone of all Toastmaster meetings, which is the evaluation, the feedback for our prepared speeches. And so please join me in welcoming Vanessa to deliver that. Over to you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Jamie. And thank you to our speaker, Elvis. First of all, Elvis, I thought it was pretty ironic that you said you were working on being more energized, because I just got so much great energy from your speech tonight. And I want to highlight a few things that I thought you did exceptionally well, especially with your speaking technique. First of all, your pacing. I have to say your measured, calm pacing is absolutely ambrosial to my ears. It is something that I try to emulate in my speaking as well. You're not afraid to take a strategic pause. You're not afraid to let your words really sink in. And what I noticed, especially in your introduction, is that you had a simple concept. You were talking to us about breaking the mold of your leadership style, about how to get 360 feedback. It was a simple concept, but even that needed some time to sink in. And so you took your time at the very beginning. You asked a question, you paused, you let us listen, you let us think about that question. I think taking those pauses can be very effective. And most of us struggle with it, myself included, because we're a little nervous and we just want to get through our speech before we forget everything that we're supposed to talk about. But it's a sign that you were so confident and well rehearsed that you didn't worry about that. You just took that pause and you had that very elegant, measured pace. Another thing I really liked, coming back to that energy, especially when you were talking about being more energized, I loved your gestures and your vocal variety. What you did is you raised your voice a little bit, you came up in pitch and you came down again. It wasn't monotone. If you were speaking like this the whole time, it gets kind of boring, but you were going up and down and kind of bringing us on this journey with you, and simply changing your inflection, changing your pitch made a huge difference for audience engagement. In terms of things to work on, because I know you're an experienced speaker, one thing I was curious to know more about in terms of your content, you mentioned that people excel in a certain leadership style. And I almost wanted to hear the devil's advocate side of that. I wanted to hear you talk about why it may not be always very easy to break out of your style. You mentioned how you were wanting to be adaptive. What if someone challenged you on that idea? What if you were in a debate? I almost wanted to hear you go to the other side and talk about the issues with being adaptive. Maybe it's not easy. Maybe there are some challenges. But overall, I think that was a minor point because it was still an excellent speech structure. Another thing I'd love to hear more of that really was a positive was just your storytelling, because I loved how you brought in that childhood story of how you were helping people with their homework, and you were, as you said, a little nerd, but that's awesome. I loved how you shared that. I would have loved to hear even more stories. And I just makes me want to hear more of your speeches because I know you're such a good storyteller. So overall, really enjoyed your speech tonight, and I'm excited to hear your next one. And I'll turn it back over to Jamie.
Thank you, Vanessa. And the word that I liked the most is elegant. You are actually, that is a perfect word. You are an elegant public speaker, Elvis. So congratulations. That was a great job today. Can I get a timer's report?
All right, that was an excellent evaluation and it came in at 3 minutes and 18 seconds, so just over, but I believe we have a little grace area there with 30 seconds. So great job.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Melissa. I will go into our evaluation. I know we're getting a little long, so I'll try to move it along. The good, from a logistics perspective, we started on time. I love, David, that you started us off with a call to action as part of your introduction as the Sergeant at Arms. Again, a reminder for all of us to sign up for speaking roles, especially if it's your first time. There's no better time than now. Just get it on the calendar, even if it's 2 weeks out, if it's 3 weeks out. You'll find that just calendaring it, putting it out on the agenda, and that expectation for yourself, the expectation that others will have, is a great motivator to get you up here for that first speech. I liked that we have really embraced the inspirational speaker. I think we've now made that part of our routine. We didn't always have an inspirational speaker, and I think it's a really great way to kick off the meeting, gets us kind of grounded in some of the things that we're probably all reflecting on, some of the journey that we can all go through as public speakers. I also think it's a great way for us to get introduced into the roles, right? If you're not quite ready for your icebreaker speech, the inspirational speech is a great way just to get in 1 to 2 minutes, pretty low commitment. You can kind of talk about yourself, things that motivate you. It'll certainly resonate with the rest of our audience. Moving into Toastmaster of the Day, congratulations, Sean, great job as always. I thought the theme was very approachable. I loved at the beginning that you invited us into your own personal experiences, into your home and the foods that are memorable for you, and that how it kind of melded together some of your traditional cuisine with things that you embraced and liked about some of the more American traditions around Thanksgiving. So I thought that was a great way to kick us off. You know, on the speech of the day, again, you know, I talked about Elvis as I thought you did a great job. But what I thought was really cool about this particular topic is it's a powerful example of the learning that we can all get out of Toastmasters. So this was a very structured experience for you, the 360 feedback, but we get feedback every day. You can think about all of this feedback as 360 feedback, and you have a very receptive audience, a very open and willing audience to invest in each of us in terms of public speakers. So I encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity, get up here, find ways to get feedback in a structured format or even after the meeting, as well as through some of the mentorship programs that I know Toastmaster Eric has started to introduce people to. Great job on table topics, Heather. I thought it was a great theme, continuing on, kept people very engaged. And lastly, the one general feedback I have, I thought everybody did a really nice job of speaking up today. That was one of the things that I noticed maybe three meetings ago where we were having a little trouble hearing over some of the HVAC. I didn't feel nearly that same level of challenge hearing some of the people in the back of the room. So again, congratulations everyone today. And now I will hand it over to Leon for our grammarians report.
Yeah, well, everybody did great today. Overall, the meeting was pretty clean. A phrase that stuck out to me today from our speaker, Elvis, was always being open to receiving and giving feedback. I think that's important in anything that you choose to do in life. In terms of filler words, as I mentioned, everybody was pretty clean. Melissa caught one filler word. Rick caught a few filler words, but I actually believe last time when you were here and you stood up for table talks, I was actually the grammarian as well. And it was a huge improvement today. So I wanted to shout you out for that. And then Jamie just won. And shout out to everybody who used the word of the day, Sean, John, Jamie, and Vanessa. And that is your grammarian report.
Great. Thank you, Leon. Please give Leon another round of applause. Great choice of word. And at this point in time, we'd like to now introduce our ballot counter for the evening to tell us who won table topics. Please help me welcome David.
Thank you, Sean. Before I get to that, I want to talk about my favorite food. You mentioned naan, and obviously mine is Indian. My favorite restaurant tends to get poo-pooed by Indians or Indian descent, and that is Blue Taj in Valentine. I think it's great, but I think most Indians are like, that's not real Indian food. And let me think. Oh, our winners for tonight, we did get a vote for a oyster guy. That was kind of cool. But we're going to start with our speaker of the night. I think he won by default, and that would be Elvis. Elvis, we have the favorite speaker of the night. It's been a while since we've given out ribbons. Thank you much. Our favorite evaluator, of course, is Vanessa online. Here you go, Vanessa. And finally, if we can get a drum roll. Favorite table topics is Lovemore. Congratulations, Lovemore. I know you haven't done Zoom yet, but you were out of Zoom. You're nobody on Zoom saw you speaking. They heard you, but they couldn't see you. It's just getting used to it. But so you want to wave your winnings. Everybody knows who they voted for. They just heard your voice, and that was what's important. Yeah. There's Vanessa. Yeah, Vanessa, John. Yeah. And let's see. Before I move on, the call to action that Jamie was talking about. We are going to not have a meeting on the week of Thanksgiving, which is November 22nd, just because everybody will be traveling. But since Christmas falls on the 25th, which is a Sunday, we will have our meeting on the 20th and 27th. So if you made New Year's resolutions for this year to overcome your fear of public speaking, maybe the 20th or 27th, you want to get your speeches in before the end of the year. But since New Year's falls on Sunday the 1st, we will be here on Tuesday the 3rd. So that's a way to start off your New Year's resolutions, to give your speech on the 3rd. So just something to think about. And finally, self-promoting this Thursday night at 6 o'clock at this very location, High Altitude Advanced Toastmaster Club is having their open house. I happen to be president of it. You have to be a level 2 to join, but you might want to check it out as something to work towards. There's just speakers that have been around for a while, and they make you raise your level. They're a little bit tougher on you. It's a good way to network with district leaders. There's division directors like myself there, area directors, part of the trio. And it's just a good way to see other speakers speak. Hopefully Lovemore will be there, but a lot of great speakers are going to be there. They're also members. Elvis is a member. I'm a member. And so hopefully this Thursday night, if you want to come here in person at 6 o'clock, we'll have pizza and stuff. And with that, I'll turn it back over to a Toastmaster. Have you been to Blue Taj? Do you poo-poo it? Is it okay?
I haven't been there, but I'll take your word for it. I'll try the dishes out and I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Thank you very much. And actually, Jamie and Leon as well. I apologize. I didn't ask you guys for your favorite dishes. Maybe afterwards, you guys can fill us all in. At this point in time, I'd like to kind of wrap things up. It's been a great meeting this evening. It's been a while since I've been here. It's been about 3 weeks, so it's good to be back. I know our topic was food. One thing I wanted to say about food is, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't have the type of dinners that we have. I went to Second Harvest last year. I gave my time to give back. That's kind of a good way during the holidays, if you don't have any time, to kind of give back. So Second Harvest was where I went to. I'll probably go again once, maybe twice this year, but just keep that in mind. With that, I'd like to conclude. I'll wrap it all up, and I'll pass it back to our presiding officer for the evening, Elvis. So Elvis, please take the podium, and thank you very much.
Great job. Sean, please help me with another round of applause to our Toastmaster of the day. And now I would like just to come back to our guests before we wrap up our meeting tonight. I would like to hear a little bit about your final impression about the meeting as a whole. So I would start with our guest online. Matthew, would you like to tell us what do you think about our meeting tonight?
Of course, thank you. I was impressed. The ability to extemporize is ambrosial, for lack of a better term. I hope to someday speak as well as the people that spoke today. And eventually, I think I'll start with the 2-minute speech, as for me, that would be, for lack of a better term, much easier. But thank you for having me as a guest. It was a pleasure. And even in this short amount of time, I think I learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And I have 3 words for you. Yes, you can. And now I would like to pass it on to our guests in person. And I would like to start with Juliet. Please introduce yourself and let us know, what do you think about the meeting tonight?
Okay. This is my second time. Last week I was here. My name is Juliet, and English is my second language. And that's very good. Last time I enjoyed a lot, and thanks for having me. That was reason I came back. So I enjoy everyone talk, and it's not too long to be tired or boring. That's very interesting. And I learned a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Coming back again. And now back to you again.
Yeah, I was very inspired by all the speakers. Elvis, where is Elvis? Oh, you're right, sorry. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. No, I was inspired by listening to you and your pacing. I thought that was it was inspirational. And then I was inspired by your enthusiasm in your speech. So definitely have goals, hopefully for the next couple meetings, something to shoot for. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Now it's our special guest here, Love More. Please tell us again.
Well, it's good to be back home. I was really excited, and I was really inspired as I listened to the speeches that were being given. And I look back to the first time that I joined Toastmasters, and I miss it. It was really inspiring to be back here and listening to all those speeches and seeing the enthusiasm around the room. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. And back to our last one, Rick, you're almost member.
Almost a member. Thank you very much. Yes, tonight was another good learning adventure for me, and I'm inspired by everybody. Elvis, that was a great job tonight. I love the evaluation because it was spot on. You were just fluent, and it was very well crafted. So I appreciate that. And I'm inspired too by the other folks here who this is their second language, and they're coming in here and doing such a great job. So thank you, folks, because that's an inspiration, right? Imagine going to another country and trying to speak in front of the population, right? That would be so difficult. So excellent job. And we'd love to see your personality. Great job. Great job, everyone.
Thank you. With that, I think we have come to the end of our meeting tonight. I would like to thank all of you for being here, and you are invited again to another meeting next week. We'll be here for another great meeting. So thank you all for coming. Have a good night.